Hi, beautiful souls. This is Sadhana, and welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to do my top 5 faves. So this is a VR to Simon at Hermit's Cave. And these are a variety of decks, including Lenormand, Tarot, Oracle, playing cards, and then we also have a wild card. So I'm going to start with my favorite Lenormand deck. This is in a pouch that I made. This is the Anna K. Lenormand. I believe this is only available through her website, Anna K. Tarot. And this is just an absolutely beautiful Lenormand deck. It does have the playing card associations down here, and they are very small and very tiny, but they are included. And you have this beautiful Anna K artwork. I can't say anything else. They are traditional cards, so ship is ship, tree is tree, house is house. And one of the beautiful things about the artwork on these cards is that it flows over the borders. So there are these colorful borders like there are on her indie tarot deck, but on these ones, the borders actually, the artwork flows over on each of the cards a different part of the border. This is the scythe. And this is a really interesting story. I harvested wheat recently when I was away on retreat, and I have my own experience now to add to the energy of this card. This is an amazing cloud card. So you've got the clear light and dark clouds on either side. The coffin here is under the ground, or in the ground with the ropes attached. This deck does have a few alternative cards, I believe. I have had them put away for a while. This tree is just absolutely gorgeous. Look at the knotwork in the trunk of the tree. And there's your dog, Tower. Really nice to have a Lenormand deck with the stork in flight. And here is your cross. So here's your burden card, which is really cleverly done. And this ring card, so the ring here being, the essential component of holding these parts of the sail together. I know in Lenormand, you don't read into the artwork, at least I don't, you kind of read straight up, but sometimes in a particular deck, there's a nuance that's brought forth. Look at this beautiful bouquet card. So yeah, this is definitely my favorite Lenormand deck, and it is an indie deck, so it takes a little more energy to acquire. And I have to say the only thing about this deck is if you're not familiar with the playing card associations, you do need to have your glasses on because they're really, really tiny. And this is just so beautiful, the purple clover card. Yeah. So that is my favorite Lenormand deck by Anna K. And then let's go to Oracle. And I know a lot of people have shown this deck. This is in a well-loved box, and I probably should have a custom box made for it, and I should probably get a backup copy. But this deck has meant a lot to me. It was probably one of my first, not sure, indie Oracle decks. And I do have, since I have quite a few Oracle decks. And it's amazing to actually choose one deck of all your Oracle decks. If you have 80 or 100 Oracle decks, how are you supposed to choose one? And the reason is that this is a very it's an all-round deck. First of all, let's just talk about the quality of the cards. It shuffles well, and for me, that is always really important. I do not like to be messing around with shuffling, especially if I'm doing a professional reading. Time is of the essence, and I need to do a few quick riffle shuffles. That is kind of important. I mean, I do talk while I'm shuffling, and I do prayer and spells and intentions and things like that. I do talk to the client while I'm shuffling, but it definitely is a consideration. And that This deck on so many levels brings forth, we've got sheen. Did you see the home card? Yeah. Okay, I'll hold it at an angle so you can see. On so many levels brings in just what you need. It's a very healing deck, very soulful. If you like watery colors like I do, it's watercolors. Yeah, I can't say enough about this deck. It is an essential deck to have in your collection. It goes well, it pairs well with lots of different decks, especially decks that have a lot of white space. And if you have Anna's tarot, the ink blot tarot, it looks really amazing with that. You can imagine, right? Because this is very ink blotty, creativity, courage. So this definitely speaks to the strength card, right? But it takes on a different perspective. And what if you pulled this and you had the strength card as well in your reading? And this pairs very well with Lenormand. And as you may well be aware, Anna Tourian, so I got my two Annas mixed up, I may have. Anna Tourian also has a Lenormand deck, a beautiful Lenormand deck, which I have in my collection. So I have one deck from each of the Annas in my top 5. I'm sure there are other Anna deck creators out there, but these two are pretty special. I can't wait for the Tarot of the Abyss. The Tarot of the Abyss is going to look crazy good with this deck because it is a black and white deck, and it's just going to bring out something in this Oracle deck. Yeah, so this is Anna Tourian, Oracle of Echoes. It does come with a PDF guidebook, which I have printed, and I have in a spiral bound. So here we have, this is very 8 of Cups, and it's going to reinforce that kind of message if that is coming up in a reading for you. Yeah. And here we have dragons. You know what? It seems that many of my favorite decks have a dragon or dragons in them. Let's go to, so we've done Lenormand, Oracle. Let's go to Tarot. This might not be a surprise. Ever since I received this deck from Celia Millsville, it has been a really important deck in my collection. It's still a bit of a mystery. I have not completely tackled the guidebook, which I did purchase. It's all in French. And I am waiting. I'm going to continue to work with it, but I'm sure there's a few things about this deck that I have not yet not revealed. Now, I want to say, unfortunately, in this video, this is the 3rd deck I'm showing you, which is an indie deck. And one of my things is I really want to make tarot accessible. And I believe every single deck I'm showing you today is an indie deck. So I do apologize for that because they're more expensive and they're a little harder to acquire, but they are all very special to me. So this is Lily White. There also is a black version of this deck, which reveals different kind of energy. As I was saying with shuffling, so the Lily White, even though it is, I shouldn't say even though it is, it shuffles really well. It's a really beautiful cardstock. It's just that perfect in-between cardstock for shuffling. And can you see how the shimmer of the gold on the back of the cards? This is also a very watery watercolor deck. There's lots of animals and there's quite a few changes in this deck. So this is a deck that if you cannot read the French guidebook, it will take a while to kind of explore the details. But this deck has been really important, and I haven't put it away since I acquired it. Yeah, and here we have the 10 of Pentacles, which is a brilliant card. In the Ace of Pentacles, you just have the one coin that's emerging. And in the 10, we have the completion of the suit with the 10 Pentacles as the full plant. Yeah. There's a strength to this deck. And also, I do read intuitively a lot of the time. Well, all of the time, I should say, I read intuitively. Sometimes I bring in traditional meanings, and those come forth for a particular reason. But this card has been coming up in fertility readings. And I don't know if you know, that is one of the medicines of the bee is fertility. And for some reason, she's been showing up. And just look, yeah. There's so many things. This is the King of Wands. And look at his beautiful branch crown. And we've got the candles burnt down here. There's so much energy and detail and heart that has been put into this deck. And I have done several, I've included this deck in many of my videos. So that there's probably no surprise that it's here today. And then look at this Queen of Swords. For me, the Queen of Swords is completely self-assured. She is the queen who is okay being on her own. She is okay not being the favorite, the one who everybody loves, but she is so comfortable in her element. And in this deck, we have incense in this suit as well as feathers. So we have the combination of air and ether. And usually ether is assigned to the major arcana and air is assigned to the suit of swords. But here we have a very, very magical suit of air in this deck. And there is something about that brings in another layer. And I love this Seven of Swords. And I definitely, the fact that the eagle has dropped that sword and is not going back to get it, I think is really important. Yeah, and here you have your Nine of Pentacles. So, you know, different symbology, not straight up Rider-Waite-Smith, but you can definitely get that beautiful Sun card. You can definitely get that energy, the Rider-Waite-Smith energy. This is a very, very beautiful Four of Wands. This is one of these decks that I can just kind of leaf through and look at the cards over and over. And it's really holding up well. I've used this a lot. It's a really cool element of this deck is the Knights. So all the other Knights are connected to the Manipura chakra, the solar plexus chakra. That's why we have the sun here. And only a portion of the body is showing, which is really, really cool. So yeah, so here we have the air symbol here. We have the ether represented by the incense. We have the cool colors here. This is swords, so we have a masculine energy. And I'll show you a page for sure. Hermit. Love, love, love this Hermit card. She is sitting inside the womb of the tree. I don't know, it's just crazy, beautiful card. So yeah, so I definitely want to show you a page. This, is a beautiful... If you don't have this deck and you can save some money to get it, I would definitely put it on your wish list because I've never seen a deck quite like this. All right. Page. Here's the page. So on the pages, like the Knights, so the pages are connected to the heart chakra. So there's a heart up here with each of the pages. And here we have the page of air. And she has one. I don't know if you noticed the Knight had 2 ether sticks. So one incense stick for the page, 2 incense sticks for the Knight, 3 for the Queen, and 4 for the King. So this is my top tarot deck by Celia Milesville, and that's on her website, celiamilesville.com. And I will link all of these decks in the description box below. Next is playing cards, and this one, I have several of the decks from Dead on Paper. This is the Arcana playing cards, and the beauty of this one, I have a few decks like this where you have the option of reading it as a tarot deck or just a playing card deck. I love the production of the Dead on Paper decks. So this is a poker size deck. Anna's deck here, this one is a typical tarot size. Same with Lily White, right? Typical tarot size deck. This is a poker size deck. And the reason that I love this playing card deck, not only the paper quality, and I do use this once in a while if I have special people over here and we're actually playing cards. I use this for playing cards, but I do use it for tarot readings as well too. So we have the Jack. All of the courts are beautifully illustrated as well as the aces. And so there's your Ace of Swords or your Ace of Spades. And I believe there's the Ace of Hearts. They're just so pretty. And the texture of these cards is just really amazing quality. There's your Queen. Queen of Pentacles or Queen of Diamonds. And Jack. And I believe I was using these with my family. So you're going to see the extra cards at the back. So here's the Ace of Clubs. So I'm just going to skip ahead. Okay, so here's a Joker. So you get two Jokers. And then you also have the option to use this as a tarot deck. So you have all of the major Arcana cards here. And this is one of the reasons why it's my favorite deck. And I love the artwork. So you have a very similar artwork on the majors as on the court cards. And so I pulled out the pages, of course, because I was using this as a playing card deck. Oh, look at the Sun card. It's just great. So yeah, so this is my favorite playing card deck by Dead on Paper, and it's called the Arcana playing cards. And all of their Ouija board deck is really fun too. I would say that's my second favorite one. And then the Wildcard. So the Wildcard was really hard to choose. I have a few decks that I could have included, and one is the Tao Oracle, but I've decided to include this one here, the Living Wheel Astrology cards. I think Patrick did an amazing job with this deck. And yeah, this one is signed by the artist. This is also a poker-sized deck in a beautiful box. With their gold on the sides. And these cards are really great, even if you don't read astrology, is to read them as significator cards. So you can sort these cards into moon cycles and astrological signs. There's so much texture to these cards, like dimension to these cards is what I want to say. So if you were doing your reading at during a particular moon phase and the moon was in Jupiter, then you could pull that particular moon phase and the Jupiter card and the season card, and then put tarot cards underneath or oracle cards underneath. It's just a really it's a really good way to start studying astrology and bringing awareness to the moon phases, and it's a really, really high quality deck. So you have the planets, you have the astrological symbols, and then you also have the shape that you actually see in the sky. And then you have the seasons. So here we have the beginning of spring. So I think we have 2 cards for each season, right? Really, really beautiful artwork. Look at that. I believe that's the end of summer card. I am looking at these upside down. And then if you want to include the houses, you also have the 12 house cards. And so that can really add a layer if you are going to, like if you were doing a reading based on your natal chart or the current astrological reading for yourself, then you can include the house cards as well too and pull a significator card underneath that. And then we have the nodes. Yeah, and then there's another seasons card. So yeah, so this is definitely has been a really important deck to use with other decks, particularly moon decks, and when I'm doing a moon reading or a more astrological reading. And I believe that's it. So those are my top 5. So the astrological cards, the Living Wheel Astrological by Patrick Doherty. And his website, I believe, is thelivingwheel.com. So these are my top 5. The Living Wheel Astrological cards by Patrick Fogarty. The Arcana playing cards by Dead on Paper. Oracle of Echoes by Anna Tourian. Lili White Tarot by Celia Millsville. And the Anna K Tarot. This is a really beautiful combination of cards, and I highly recommend each and every one of these decks. So thanks for watching. I look forward to reading your comments. Stay well, my friends. Namaste.